Hello, DOGTV. Joe Myers back here from on DOGTV Chats. Today's show is going to be a little different. We're going to talk about the stress and what's happening in the world today. We have an absolutely motivational and incredible guest today who's going to share her story. I don't want to even touch it. I want to let her take care of this because of the sensitivity of it. I want to thank you all for joining us this week. We've had hundreds of thousands of views, half a million impressions on this show. It's been an absolute blessing to be the host for these last several weeks during this quarantine. Without any further ado, let me welcome my guest today. Please welcome Marika Meeks.
Oh, all you cool cats and kittens. Does anyone get that reference?
Oh, I love it. I love it. No need to disappoint. Absolutely. I get it. If you get that reference, give a nice thumbs up. And maybe tell Marika about the love of that. Well, Marika, I'd love for you to I was planning on introducing you with your illustrious background, both as an entrepreneur and a rescuer and an author. But I want to give you that stage, give you that honor to introduce yourself. Can you tell the audience about yourself and maybe even a little bit about your journey?
I always prefer people. Well, I did. There was that thing, world peace, which out really. Just world peace yet. Working on it, right? We're in the middle of this crazy Corona time. Really, for the first time, this is like our independence. Remember the movie where really the world had to come together as one to defeat a common enemy. So it's a very exciting time if you look at it that way, that we're all having this huge, dramatically impacting communal shared experience. But that's not at all the question you asked me. So I'll just to kind of sum it up quickly. I was honored beyond belief last year in 2019 to be named as Dog Mom of the Year by DOGTV. And what an incredible honor and surprise, humbling experience that was. So I certainly appreciate that. Here with Incredible Stella, we formed a 501c3 and we're committed to really one of all of these three things. We're committed to helping people adopt and not shop for pets. We're committed to helping to underwrite and educate people about the importance of spay and neutering. And near and dear to my heart, we are always advocating for bully type breeds throughout the world. So we stay very, very busy with all three of those agendas. But with everything, life throws your curveballs. And those of you that know my story know that I'm a breast cancer survivor. About a month ago, we unfortunately found out that I've actually had the cancer has spread. So made it 7 years. So I'm not unhappy about that, but I am now dealing with a whole different situation. So my daily life is a lot different. But it's very interesting because I find if you look for it, you can always find the good in everything. And despite the fact that I have, I think, 2 tumors in my liver and some spots on my bones, which, it's a pretty scary diagnosis, a prognosis to have. Mm-hmm. All we really have is today, this moment, this moment in time. And doesn't the coronavirus put that all in perspective for everybody? And that I think is just such a valuable lesson. We all worry about these things, and there's so many people that are sick with so many different things, and they have the coronavirus on top of it. And we all just need to take a pause, because I might be worried about my own personal situation with cancer, but let's face it, we're losing a lot of people to coronavirus. So cancer may be the least of my worries. So just be happy and joyful today and do what you can today, and keep your eye on the future and always moving forward. And I believe if you live life like you have a future, you will indeed have one. And I think that's really, really important.
Thank you so much for sharing that. I agree. I think we're all dealing with sort of compounded stress, stress of what's going on in the world, stress with some health, stress with worried about a family member. We're all dealing with a little more stress than possible. Can you tell the audience what happened on February 13th, 2016
I don't remember yesterday. So wait, what was the date? Okay, I
Yeah,
got you.
February 13th, 2015. I know, you have a very busy day, but I know a special thing that happened on that day.
Oh, that day. Okay, it took me a minute, but yeah, February 13th, 2016, I think it was a very special day to me. That was when we actually adopted Stella, who just absolutely changed our lives. She and her sister, they were named Laverne and Shirley. She was Shirley, and they were dumped by the side of the road in the middle of winter in Indiana, and ended up at the shelter. And was really, really grateful that both of them were pulled by a rescue organization that got them into foster care. And on February 13th, I got to meet both Stella or Shirley and Laverne, and I fell in love with Shirley, named her Stella. And ever since the very first day that dog came home, she gave my family a gift I could never ever repay. She changed our lives the day she came home. And the reason I say that so profoundly is I had just gone through like months and months of grueling cancer treatment and had found myself, supposedly at that time with a clean bill of health, but I'd really forgotten how to live. It's like I had been struggling and fighting to survive to then end up where, like, I didn't know what life was anymore. And my youngest daughter at the same time, she was 16. She was going through her own situation, stress and anxiety, depression, teenage angst. Her mom's maybe going to die, all this stuff. And she had left a suicide note while I was going through treatment out here in Arizona. And once I got back home, we were connected, but it's like there had been so much water that had got under that bridge. We were really still estranged, and we didn't know how to rebuild that relationship. What it ended up taking was a dog named Stella, and it only took the first day that she came home, because she literally came into our family that Saturday, that February 13th, and Katie and I fell back in love with each other as we were falling in love with Stella. And she gave me my daughter back. And that was really the start for me to realize that, first of all, one of the things I was mistaking in my life was the definition of what success was. And so often, like, we measure our own self-worth and where we show up in the world with how much money we're making or whatever those material things are. And I was doing all of the classical things to have successful businesses and things like that, but I really wasn't on purpose with what my soul's calling was. And that cancer was really the wake-up call that I was blessed with. It was the gift that taught me that I had to start showing up in the world as me, not what I thought society wanted me to be. And that really was a start of a wonderful journey for me.
I know you've referred to it before as your second life.
Yeah.
In regards to this, and I know there are a lot of people going through some stress, and I've heard stories of adoptions that are going through the roof. What is some advice you can deal with somebody who's dealing with some stress and then gets a dog in their life? What is some tips and tricks from somebody who's dealt with it on the, one would say one of the highest levels?
Well, I would say anytime you make a change in your life, there's going to be adjustments that you have to make. A dog is not a toaster that you bring home and plug in and it just does its thing. Every dog is unique and it has its own set of personality and quirks that you're going to have to kind of get used to in your household. And I think one of the greatest things for me, because I brought home so many dogs. I mean, like last year, we rehomed 65 dogs. Is that when you bring home an animal, whether it's a cat, you get to do some creative problem solving. Because I guarantee you, after going through 65, they're as unique as we are, and each one will have its own challenges and quirks that you have to deal with. And I think if you can look at it as creative problem solving, instead of like, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to do this differently now and I don't really want to, I think you and the dog will get along a lot better. And oftentimes if these animals are coming from shelters, the shelter is probably the most stressful place a dog can come from. They get very little sleep. It's chaotic. It's scary. It's just on 100% of the time when they're at the shelter.
Yep.
They need time like you would need time to decompress. I mean, it wouldn't be easy for you to be plucked out of your home with everything you know, put in a completely new environment with people you don't know, and just be like, all right. No, it doesn't work that way. Just like dogs and people, we need that adjustment time. So give that dog some space, some peace, and learn to bond with it. One of the greatest things to do is you don't need to, feed your dog tons of treats, but can feed it some, like start that relationship so it knows that it can come to you for food. Your smell is associated with a reinforcement, that positive reinforcement of getting food, and have a little in your pocket during the day in a little bag. And every time that dog comes to you, give them a little something, and you'd be surprised. I mean, that's how my husband won me over. He just had chocolate in his pocket, and I fell in love with him so quickly. It was amazing.
Oh my gosh, I love that advice. I feel like I've asked you a lot of questions, so if you're listening to this right now live on Facebook, please ask some questions for Marika. We've heard a lot of encouragement in the comments. I want to thank everybody from sort of sharing this story and how inspirational and motivational it is. But if you have some questions that you want to ask, please feel free. You talked about it a little bit with not all dogs are toasters, or not dog is a toaster. What does it mean to you to be a dog mom versus a dog owner?
Well, I'm not wearing my cape right now. It's at the dry cleaners. For me, it's just setting the example of putting yourself out there. And I don't mean this to sound in any way like pretentious or presumptive at all, and I hope you can take me at face value, but I get a lot of people that will write to me and they'll say, "You are such a hero. You are such a hero." And anyone can be a hero. You might have to do something a little different in your schedule. You might have to take a drive that you weren't planning on taking. You might have to be inconvenienced with puppies you just rescued that keep you up all night long until you can get them situated in a better situation. But, if we could all realize that all of these things are within our own reach, I'm no different. I'm not special from anybody else. But I think people think that some of these things that I do are out of reach for them. And I wish that they could just take a moment and say, okay, well, maybe I can't do that, but maybe I can do this over here. And everybody has an opportunity to show up and be a hero in their own way.
I absolutely love that you are one person and you are doing what you can to make the world a better place, and that's certainly what this is about.
And it's constantly evolving, right? Like I found out March 7th about this cancer thing. So life has changed and evolved again. Ironically, I had manifested. I like to manifest things, and I think I'm good at it. I wanted to buy a larger piece of property so we could build a bigger facility so we could help more dogs. Well, 4 days before we closed on this property is when I got this news about now being stage 4. So it's like, okay, so what happens to my dream now? Well, nothing really happens to my dream now. And if I can manifest, getting this property, if I can manifest getting my book published, writing my movie that we're working on, I can manifest, anything else as well. And so sometimes we think we know what the answers are. We think we know how things are going to unfold, but you don't know anything. So quit acting as though like you know what the end result's going to be, and start focusing on just putting one foot in front of the other. Because if I pass away from this, but I'm building this vision, who's to say somebody else doesn't come along right behind me and carry on and still be able to leave a legacy in this world? So I would say stop looking for the reasons why you can't and start looking for the reasons why you can. Take little steps every single day towards whatever your dream and vision is.
Absolutely, absolutely, so important. Those little steps moving forward. We do have a couple of questions, lot of encouragement from Carly. When did you know that animals would be a big part of your story? You get Stella, this beautiful story, or Laverne, or Shirley, forgot the name. And when did you know that this wasn't going to just be about one dog? This was going to be about 66, 666, and 6,066.
That's a good question. And I think it comes back to like not always knowing where you're plotting your course to. So maybe you're headed here
Mm-hmm.
and you think you're plotting towards that, but life comes along with its own little detours and zigs and zags that may take you in a different place. And sometimes, even though you don't end up like what you thought your dream was, where you end up is like amazingly better. So I don't know that I necessarily had like a drop dead, like, okay, this is where it's going to change my life and I'm going to go this direction. But one thing led to another thing, and then the more doors and opportunities that opened, the more I realized that I could step through them. And I have two daughters, Carly and Katie. They're both in their early 20s. And one thing that I've always told them is that you always say yes, no matter what the opportunity is. Like, I didn't know how I would be feeling today when you guys asked me to do this Facebook Live, and I've had some rough days. I didn't know, but I thought, you know what? I'm still alive. I'm going to keep on living. I'm going to do this interview, and I'm here today. So I think it's always important. You have to be pouring yourself and saying yes, and you have to. The one thing I ask for more than anything else is I ask to have awareness of what I'm supposed to be doing next. The second thing I ask for is I ask to have courage to say yes and take advantage of those opportunities. And I would encourage certainly my daughters and everybody else that wants to achieve something to hold those things really near and dear to their heart.
I absolutely love that. Awareness and courage, so important. Another question from our audience from Rochelle, and again, if I butcher your name, I do apologize. How hard is it for you to give up these dogs that you rescue from these? You know, I've heard stories that are absolutely incredible. You know, they're in your home, they get to know you a little bit, and then you find them their permanent home.
Yeah.
And you know, there's some people in the chat that said that they found their dog from you. How hard is it for you to give up? And do you have any advice for people who are potentially fostering right now that, you know, are doing what they can to help?
I have a roundabout answer to that. I have to say that I'm a very emotional person, and sometimes that emotion scares me. Like, I don't want to experience extreme sadness or loss, and so I try to like build a wall so I don't have to go there. Carly, she's watching right now. Carly won't watch sad movies because she also doesn't want to go there, and I'm sure there's a lot of you out there that are the same way. What I've found through dogs, whether we've had something tragic happen and we lose them in a physical sense, or they are simply adopted into a new home, is that there is such strength and emotional stability to be gained when you're not allowed to, when you're not afraid to experience some of the lower emotions. And if you're always hiding from those lower emotions, you're never going to fully experience the joy and the happiness on the other side. So for me, it's actually made me a much stronger person, even though it is hard to do.
Yeah.
But it's like you are actually experiencing the full gamut of that instead of just a piece of the pie. And I think fostering dogs and letting dogs go are you go through some of those emotions and then you realize that you're stronger. And I also have to tell you, I've had dogs that I thought that I was going to let go that were going to be devastated because apparently I think pretty highly of myself and I'm the only one they love. And I've worried about them, like, oh my gosh, what if they think I've abandoned them? And I do go through all of this, and then I see them again, and they're like, oh, I'm sorry, who are you? Where's my mom? And it's like that's really the big realization for me, is that I made it more about me and personifying those feelings of loss than I did really about the dog. And when you have the mindset that as my job is to mainly facilitate these dogs finding their home instead of taking the dog and being the world for that dog. It's just a different mindset that I think you can develop and grow stronger from.
I love that sort of you grow yourself, but then you also give somebody else the opportunity to be their mom.
Yeah.
An interesting question from Lori. How did you convince your husband to foster dogs? They have one dog right now, and my husband isn't on board with fostering. I hope her husband isn't on this chat, or this could get a little weird.
I'm trying to read too.
Yeah, how did you convince your husband to move this journey forward and or fostering other dogs?
Mm. Well, a little bit of tricking. No, there's there's that old saying. Sometimes it's better to ask for forgiveness than it is to beg for permission. I didn't exactly do that, but my husband never wanted any dogs. In fact, that was one of the reasons. The only thing that he required when he asked me to marry him is that we would never have dogs, and so I was like, okay. So anyway, we all know how that turned out. Um, I I feel as though the dogs have actually brought us a lot closer as a couple. I wanted to pay forward fostering dogs because I knew that a foster family got Stella out of a terribly stressful situation when she was first ended up at the shelter. And the first two dogs that we got were two puppies. They were probably 6 or 7 weeks old. They had been seized from a neglectful breeder, and they ended up, unbeknownst to us, we had zero experience with this, being parvo positive, which is, as probably most of you guys know, a very deadly virus. And it took both of us to take care of these dogs, and it was really a healing part of our relationship too, because I had been gone for 8 months for treatment. So our relationship had a disconnect as well, and we would literally be eating dinner at night, each with a heating pad on our lap, with a puppy on our lap, holding the puppy and eating dinner with the other hand. And for me, I fell in love with him a little bit more each day. So I don't really know how you talk your husband into it. I know that people are different. I dropped a lot of hints. If I never really actually asked, but I'd be like, "Oh, look at this one! Oh, or to show him a sad story, and he'd be like, "All right, he would reluctantly, give in and allow me to do it, and then help me with it along the way." So, but every relationship's different.
Certainly, you certainly had a unique situation when Stella came into your life. But I do agree. I think the more that you can serve together as a family, as a couple, the closer you'll become.
My whole family, even my girls, like the dogs have done so much for us. Like even through the community that we formed, even sometimes it's not dog related. We just moved into a new house a day and a half ago, and there were all these plants outside. I had no idea whether they were toxic or not. Wally is always putting stuff in his mouth, and I was just make video about it. And then I had a horticulturist here locally write to me and say, "I'd love to come and just audit your yard and tell you exactly what you have, and that's my gift to you." And so things like that happen that are all through the dogs. I had the same thing happen last week. I had someone that I only know through the dogs that decided that they thought I should have some help from hospice, and they set up the whole entire thing for me. And for those of you that are listening, and I know we're probably running short on time, but I wanted to tell you how very powerful this is for me. And most of you have seen the Harry Potter movies. Well, there's a later Harry Potter movie where it's Harry and Voldemort, or he who shall not be spoken, or as the bad guy, and the Dementors, and they're sort of outside castle, and Harry's out there, and it's coming down to it, man. Like it's Harry and Voldemort, and they're like having this epic battle. Do you know that movie?
I do.
Know that?
Yeah, they're battling the ones, and they're
Okay, so I don't know about everybody else in the chat room whether they've seen it, but at least I know you've seen it, Joe. And so here I am, like in the middle of this like health crisis in a very serious sense. Like I need a liver, like basically I can't live without my liver. And so I meditate and I picture myself as Harry Potter, and I picture like this cancer and the Dementors, and as Voldemort, and we're having this epic battle. And for the 80,000 people that we've shared our life with over the course of doing everything related to dogs, I have so many people that wish me well and pray for me, and I'm so appreciative of that. And this is the scene in my head, and I want to tell you why and how it's important to me and how I use it. Is I replay that little battle, and all of you guys are the students and the staff that make me cry, that come out of Hogswort right behind me with your wands out, and are helping me every day. So your power of your thought and your intentions is really a source of strength for me. And I feel so loved by it all. And I am blessed to have that all because of a dog named Stella. And it's just another tremendous gift. So I thank you all for that.
Thank you so much for sharing that. That's
Yeah.
wonderful. And I want to thank the 80,000 people and more that have followed your journey and have been a part of this with you. It's been absolutely incredible from the very first moment that I heard about it to recently being in our family's prayers. And
thank you.
Do wish, we're behind you. We're all of us there. And I want to thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah.
On this chat. I want to encourage everybody to take this as a call to action that you can do this as well. You can stand behind Marika. You can be your own dog hero. You can do great things in your world. Marika is an incredible No, it's fine. It's in the dog world, dog barks are a good thing.
That's right.
You're an incredible example of that. Marika, I want to end this on a bright note and a bright spot. We do have our Dog Mom of the Year contest starting today. And I don't want to put you on the spot, so you don't have to mention anybody, but who would you nominate for Dog Mom of this year, 2020?
Geez, Joe, you should have given me some notice on that question. Gosh, there are so many awesome people out there that are just doing such a phenomenal job, not just for their own dogs, but for dogs in general. And I think I'm going to have to really think about that and give you an answer, because right now I feel like that the list is pretty. I would encourage you guys, like, if you love your dogs, be dog mom. Like, it's experience and a title that you will have for the rest of your life. And I'm so had the opportunity to be Dog Mom of the Year for 2019. And hey, the link's right there on the screen. See where you're at. Joe, I'll give you some people that I think great fits and worthy of that title, because I know there's a lot of them out there.
Awesome. Yeah, I don't want to put you pressure, but I know. I feel bad. So head over to the site. We want to highlight dog moms during this season, and bring a bright spot as well. We have some incredible partners joining us along with this that'll be announced later today. But that's, there's a lot going on, and if we can bring some joy and some love during this season, that's really what this contest is about. They could be somebody who takes their dog on a walk twice a day, or somebody who is, changing the world in one small way. So Marika, I want to end it with you. Can you share one piece of maybe advice or encouragement to our audience to let them, let them go about their day with this different level of understanding?
Yeah, well, I would say, if you're referring to, the coronavirus, which I'm sure we're all sick of hearing about, this is your opportunity to do something really amazing. And this is kind of wartime. Like, there's not a human enemy that we're fighting against, but this is wartime scenario. So you can be a hero for your country and even really the world right now. There are a lot of people that are being laid off. So some people are looking for jobs, but there's also a lot of industries that are ramping up because we need supplies. There's the grocery store industry, the trucking industry. And, if you've been laid off and you have the flexibility to help the country in any of those ways, there are definitely places that you can stand up and you can be not only a hero to yourself, but for the rest of us that can't do it. The truckers of this country are an amazing breed, and we all owe them a huge debt of gratitude, as well as, of course, our medical staff and and all the other first responders. There's no end to people even stocking shelves at the grocery stores. These are necessary things, and so do your part and be that American hero, because we really need that. And I want to say this in a way that doesn't sound presumptuous at all, but this is just an honest conversation that I have with my mom just a couple weeks ago, because obviously, been very emotional with my family, in particular with my situation. And she asked me how I was doing, and I told her, I said, for me, I know my job right now is to be a calm voice in a storm. I have a lot of people that I feel that are looking to me, and I feel like there's always a silver lining in every cloud. And even though I got a pretty dark cloud right now, the gift of that is that I can bring perspective to people. And if I can be calm and keep perspective with not only the coronavirus and all the economic fallout, but also my own personal health situation, hopefully other people can say, okay, maybe I can do this too. And so I just want to tell you guys, when I say that I love you and I think about you, you are really such an important gift to me. And I do hope you stay well and you follow the precautions, and you do your part, not to help just dogs, but to help the world and to help your community as well.
Absolutely amazing. Be a hero.
Yeah, hero.
No better words have been spoken today. So thank you, Marika, for joining us.
You're welcome.
Where can people find out more if they've never followed you before? Where can people find out about your journey a little bit? Where
Yeah, well, here, I brought this right here. Our book, right there we go. Our book is available. There's an audio version. There's a large print edition. There's a paperback. You can get it on Target or Amazon, and you can kind of learn our complete story, at least up until a certain point. It's obviously gone past this book now, but I am working on a second book. This is nonfiction. The second book is going to be a kick-ass fiction book about a female heroine that is sort of like a Jack Reacher character. She's not really looking to start trouble, but she's also gone through cancer. She's reinvented herself. She's kind of like that phoenix that's risen from the ashes, and she's going to kick ass and take names if she sees an animal in harm's way. And it's a very exciting story, and I'm looking forward to working on that as well and sharing that with everybody.
Exciting. So go check out the book.
Yeah.
Go check out Marika on Instagram and Facebook, Incredible Stella.
Yep.
Encourage the book, How the Love of a Pit Bull Rescued a Family. It's a beautiful story. You've heard a little bit about it here, but it goes far deeper into the book. I want to thank you all for joining us today on DOGTV Chats. Next week, we have TV's Maggie Lawson from Fox's Outmatched. We have Laura Nativo as our guest, and we also have one of the geniuses behind the DOGTV music,
cool.
Daniel Crowan. And so it's going to be an awesome show again. If you have any encouragement or people that you want to see on this show, please feel free to message us or put them in the comments. We'll try to reach out to them. The goal of DOGTV Chats is to bring some inspiration, some motivation, but also some education during this unsettled season of life. So Marika, I want to thank you so much for joining us. We'll be praying for you during this journey and following along. Anything that DOGTV can do, we'll certainly be there. And I encourage you to maybe nominate somebody today for the 2020 Dog Mom of the Year. Make somebody's life. Maybe nominate your neighbor or a friend or your mother or that person at the rescue shelter who's putting in countless hours right now. We want to encourage them and shower them with gifts and adoration. And all dog moms, of course, with gifts and adoration.
That's right. And I just wanted to say, Joe, most of you seen the movie The Hangover, where he says, "I once was a wolf pack of one." We are a wolf pack of many, and there's no better time for us to kind of come together, support, and love on one another. And we have plenty of time to do it right now for most of us. So we're all together in this.
Exactly. We'll make it a wolf pack. Thank you for being the pack leader. Thank you for being a pack leader, Marika. It's been an absolute pleasure. I want to encourage you all to have a safe and healthy and together at home weekend, and we will see you again on Monday.
Happy Easter!
Happy Easter, everybody. We'll talk soon. Thank you so much for joining us.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everybody.